Richards trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Matt Casey being a dick. My name is Derek.
And I'm John. What's going on, everybody?
And as alluded to, Matt Casey is with us as well.
What's up,
I'm just
Dick?
wondering who Hoagie's texting right now.
So am I.
What you got going, Hoagie?
I'm controlling the socials. Come on, guys.
Did you
Controlling
this is
the
our
socials.
Well.
Who's controlling
I'm
the
still
socials?
responsible.
Hoagie on the socials.
Oh,
How are we
that
doing
Twitter
today?
app thing.
That's
Check
better.
out our stream. Love Matt Holden.
Welcome to the off season. This is about as good as it gets, folks. But
Just another magic Monday.
well, everybody's going to be listening on Tuesday, so
It's a magic Monday. Speaking of magic, boys, that Preakness.
I didn't even know it was on.
yeah. I
You
didn't
know
watch
what? The funny thing is that's how I have to go into all this because I had no idea it was on either. And then, like 10 minutes before the race went off, my father-in-law's like, "Who you got for the Preakness?" I'm like, "I don't know."
it. Like the Preakness is today.
You won some money. You won some money. That's
did.
what you're getting at.
I
Got
did.
it.
I hit
And
the
are
winner.
you going to spend
and
it on
the
your
exacta.
prom date tonight? Since you have prom tonight,
Hey, what,
an
use it for
extra
groceries.
luscious corsage.
You know what's really funny? So my wife is ahead of her private school's like prom thing. Prom is tonight, Monday night. Huh?
Cheaper
Nice.
hotel rooms? I don't know.
So it's
Who
like
schedules it on the same night as us going live? I don't get
I
it.
was talking to somebody and they're like, "Well, it's clearly to curb drinking." I'm like, "Yeah, because a Monday night would stop me."
Right? Yeah.
Cheers, Derek.
The responsible senior high school kids and all.
Oh yeah. Oh goodness. Well, there is one thing that really does lead me to drink, and that is the head coach search for the Flyers. It's what we're going to get into tonight. It's going to be somewhat more the same what we talked about 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't there, so I've got to get my 2 cents in.
That's all this is about. He just wants his moment.
It is my
And we have
return.
nothing else. We got nothing else.
But
Really,
yeah,
yeah.
really, literally nothing else.
Really. I mean, it's let's be honest, until they find a head coach, there's not going to be much to talk about. But before then, we break down a couple names here. I've got 4 guys at least that I did my fancy little spreadsheet on, and no one else can understand, mainly
It's more
because
like no
Hoagie
one
can't read.
cares.
Well,
I'm colorblind.
I mean,
Doesn't mean I
we
can't
should care.
read.
This is the future of our favorite team here, guys. Come on.
Okay, you're right.
I am right. I know.
You solved it.
Anyways, we're going to get into it here. We talked a lot about Barry Trotz. We could beat the dead horse. He is candidate number A. There it is.
Candidate number
There
8.
it is.
Who are you,
I
Matt
was waiting
Holden?
for it. I was waiting for it. He is candidate number 1. Candidate
Hoagie,
letter A.
Hoagie, did you see where he messed up there, buddy?
This is a teaching lesson, Hoagie.
No, he's thinking about it. He's like, "No, I don't get it."
What the hell
What?
did he just say?
Yeah, A's my favorite number.
I
Yeah,
can't even
it
remember
is.
what I just said anyway. But
Okay.
Barry Trotz
It's all
far and
good.
away is
I
number
got
1.
it now.
Perfect. So then we get into kind of the 1Bs.
Wait, can we
Where-
hold up a minute?
We can.
No, it's seriously. Can we just for a second? I know that like a lot of what we're gonna say tonight is Barry Trotz most likely isn't going to happen in Philadelphia, but don't you think that the Philadelphia Flyers are the team that will most likely offer him the most money?
Of course.
Blank
I would
check,
like to
baby.
think so.
Right? So I don't think that we can say that the chance of him not coming to Philadelphia is less likely than others, because I do think that the Flyers are going to give him the best contract offer.
I'll say this, that like I don't think the Flyers have as much going for them as the other teams do who are in contention. There's not as much of a connection there.
Sure.
And so like you have Winnipeg where he's from somewhere. If you waterboarded me, I couldn't pick Winnipeg on a map. But he's from somewhere up there.
Manitoba.
And
It's Canada.
And then you have Vegas. I don't know what the connection is there, but Vegas seems interested.
He's a big slot player.
My thing is, yeah, loves the casinos.
Loves those penny slots, baby.
My thing is that I keep on hearing Flyers fans being like, "Why would he come here? Why would he come here?" I get it, but why would he have gone to the Islanders after winning a Stanley Cup?
Thank you.
Right.
Well,
So,
maybe it was the only job.
Maybe he loves the project. Like maybe that's what he likes doing.
I do think, to be fair, that the Islanders were the only open job at the time. Like, I think it was the Islanders or nothing.
Let's be honest. A
But
team would make room for him, though.
He could have chose nothing.
Right.
He could have. I mean, it's the allure, like Matt said. It's the allure of the project. I mean, because the Islanders were a project. The Flyers certainly are a project. It's, do you want to leave your mark? You know, and I think Trotz is the type of guy. He left his mark in Washington, left his mark in Nashville for sure, left his mark to an extent with New York because he took that team.
I mean, he left his mark. He full blown lifted his leg and just peed for hours.
John's got a statue of Barry Trotz in his neighborhood because that's how much they love him up there on Long Island. You know,
yeah, it's right next to it gets very confused with the statue of Rumpelstiltskin.
It's doing the same, right? You know,
right?
One and the same.
Doesn't he kind of look like he could be like having a loom filled with gold?
Yeah, or like kind of a well-dressed hunchback from Notre Dame, like that kind of thing.
There you go.
Sanctuary.
It's I think the external factors are going to be a lot, and they're going to weigh heavily on him because you're going to want to think about he's getting to the point in his career where he's getting older, probably wants to take some time to be with his family. You know, so Winnipeg absolutely makes sense. Vegas makes sense from a talent standpoint. Flyers make sense from a project standpoint. What's his mentality?
Again, money.
Exactly. Money's going to talk. I mean, the Flyers, again, Hoagie said, blank check, you know, put it to use here. You know, what's he want? Double it. If Dave Scott is serious about making this happen, double whatever. He's got the money. Dave Scott's got the money. Let him spend it on Barry Trotz.
It all ends up going to the consumers with higher cable prices. So,
Dave, if you're listening, don't do it.
So yeah, I mean, we don't need to dive any more into Barry Trotz, but I do think that, like, aside from Winnipeg, because you know the hometown story always just, you know, it's like the top tier with everything that anybody ever talks about. But I do think that if you put with any other team, the Flyers have just as good of a chance.
but you got to say, there's. Do you believe that there's a likelihood that Trotz ends up here? I would say it's maybe a 15%. I would give that.
Okay, that's fair, but I think that the only team with a legitimate, like, larger likelihood to me is Winnipeg. Like,
but then there's 5 other teams with 15% in
sure,
there.
yeah.
How
No,
many
you're
other
right.
fan bases are convincing themselves though, like we are? Like, yeah, Trotz could come here. You know, Winnipeg's up there, like he's definitely coming here. And then you've got, you know, Vegas, who's like, absolutely, who wouldn't want to come here? You know, it's
Right.
We're gonna convince ourselves that he's gonna want to come here.
I don't think that the Vegas job is an appealing job because what the hell did Peter DeBoer do to get fired?
He didn't make the playoffs.
They just, I mean,
exactly.
they
It's the
blow
golden
through
standard.
players and coaches just like that. And I don't-
Someone's going to be enticed by Vegas because you've got Jack Eichel, you've got a lot of talent on that roster. Someone obviously is going to be enticed by it.
but I'm
Trotz,
just saying I don't think it's as appealing of a job because it's just like they don't give a damn.
As
They're just
appealing as
always
what,
willing.
though? Like if
I
we're
think
ranking,
I think you look at the Marc-Andre Fleury thing as like a personification of that, and it just seems to be an organization who kind of like just tosses out their old rags and doesn't think of it. You know, would have been great for Keith Yandel. They could have done wonders with him, but
they're not used to losing too. Like the one season they don't make the playoffs, they're like, "Oh, get out of here, Pete." Yeah, like, "Oh, you poor bastards." But I mean, DeBoer's out. You've got guys like Tortorella who's still on the market. Paul Maurice, Jim Montgomery. Now you've got Rick Bowness, who just was let go from Dallas. There are tons of names out there that realistically make sense for the Flyers. So what we want to do, again, aside from the Trotz talk, let's talk about a couple guys that kind of pique your interest. Let's talk about, why they pique your interest, what type of fit they'd be with the Flyers. Anybody have any names in mind that we want to go over, or do you want me to start rattling them off?
Well, you're the reason that we're redoing this conversation, so I think you should go ahead and.
Well, did we go this far in depth about it last time?
No.
Yeah, see, this is more of a detailed breakdown as to who would be a better fit for this team.
All right, well, then I'll start.
Checkmate, bitch.
Checkmate that. Okay.
Check, sorry.
So I think that, based off of the news that came out that Chuck Fletcher and the Flyers are looking for somebody who, has an experienced track record, has won before, and not necessarily a cup, but you would assume that a cup has something to do with it. To me, John Tortorella, if it's not Barry Trotz, makes the most sense. I just think that he kind of is the coach that will light a fire under this team, will change the culture. He produces results. I mean, Derek, you'll dive into this a little bit more, but maybe not immediately. And then people say his shelf life is short, but is that really true? I mean, he has 6-7 years at every gig he's been in. Have you watched the NHL? The shelf life of a coach is 3 years max right now.
I think the Vancouver thing it probably throws people off because what was that, a year?
Sure,
1 year.
Yeah,
Okay.
one season.
So that's that's going to bring your average down a little bit, but
Sure.
Right.
You're talking about a coach too or I should say a franchise that we talk about Laviolette almost in that same light, the shelf life. He gets through to his players, for the first 2-3 years, and then it just kind of tapers off. To an extent, we could say we've been there, but look at how they responded to Laviolette. We got to a Stanley Cup Finals with him as head coach. Was it right away? Yeah, sure. Probably not going to happen with a guy like Tortorella, who, historically with the teams that he's taken over has taken a little bit to get to where he wants to be. But the guy's been to the conference finals. He's been to the cup finals. He's coached elite goaltenders. He had Luongo in Vancouver. He had Lundqvist in New York. He had Bobrovsky
right?
in Columbus.
Yep.
So he's used to elite goaltending. And I think, this is all in Carter Hart's favor. Well, the thing is, I think he could do a lot to help Carter Hart. He can take what he's learned from watching Lundqvist, Bobrovsky, Luongo, and maybe he helps him, even though there is a terrible defense in front of him.
What kind of system does Tortorella typically run? Is it more of a defensive minded? Is it more of an offensive minded? I mean, you're rolling your eyes there, Casey, but there's some guys.
No idea. That's why I was
because I kind of want to take this.
defensive.
I kind of want to take this down a road of what system really fits this Flyer team better right now. I don't see a run and gun team at all. This is a team that's got to play the defensive game.
Yeah. He's had good defenses in front of his goalie almost his entire career. I mean, New York was known for their solid defense. They had Stahl, they had McDonough, they had Yandel back when he was good. They had who's the other guy? Who?
Was Yandel ever good though?
Well, back when he was, better than he was with the Flyers.
Not on the Flyers.
But he's had that along with good goaltending. So I saw just before we got on here, one of the guys that's a religious pie chart and graph guy say about how it's a boring system and it's defensive oriented and this and that. So maybe that's true. I don't know.
Give me boring.
I
don't care.
I'll take it.
Again, anecdotally, you look at when who went to Columbus, the Stars at Line A?
Line A.
Line A. When he went, the biggest concern was can he play Tortorella's system, which is accountability and not the running on style. I think every Flyers fans can't agree on anything, but I think if there's one thing we agree on is that we are absolutely not a running gun team.
Absolutely.
But what I kind of like about Tortorella, personality wise, I'm not a huge fan of his. I'm just kind of dude, just get off the mic and be done with it. Quit blowing people up. But I like the fact he's been sitting. I like the fact he's been sitting for a year and can kind of reflect and see things from the press box, so to speak, or the broadcast booth.
As
You
an
probably
analyst,
get a
yeah.
different perspective in there.
Sure.
And so, maybe he's just adjusted the way he's thinking about the game and has really gone through versus, again, nothing against Trotz, but like Trotz is coming off, just get a crappy season, just got unexpectedly canned. Is he ready for that next challenge mentally? And so, not saying yes or no, but I think Tortorella, it's like, if he wants to coach again, like, he'll be ready to go. And the other thing is with the Flyers, especially, there's no superstars on that team. Nobody's arguing that. So there's not going to be any egos who are like, what does this coach, think he's doing, trying to put in this system that doesn't fit me? I want the powerful blood for me. It's like, no, like nobody on the roster has one thing that they can say that Tortorella can't just pick apart. They haven't earned that yet.
And if there are egos on this team, he's going to flush them out right away.
Yep.
Like, that's the good thing.
Yep.
Hoagie, what are your thoughts on Tortorella as head coach of the Flyers here?
I actually like the name for the Flyers. I think he's a good guy. He's on hold everybody accountable. I've seen a lot of chatter about how he's a defensive-minded coach. He plays a boring style of hockey, but you want to pick apart the only player that's played for him that's actually on the Flyers with Atkinson.
Yeah.
408 games played, 154 goals, 136 assists for 290 points. So, I mean, he's going to let the players play to their style as long as they're still playing a defensive-minded game. So I think if anybody needs like that kind of familiarity is Atkinson, so he can kind of help lead this team in a way that we can keep moving forward and maybe win some games this year.
The funny thing is if the people who were bitching about him being a boring style coach, do these same people want Barry Trotz? Because
that's about as boring as it gets.
By the way,
it's like
Hoagie, I thought you were going to say, I like the name Tortorella. Tortorella.
Yes.
Tortorella.
4 syllables.
Sounds like tortilla.
I was wondering where you were going with it. I like the name. John.
You bring up a great point, John, because the people, and again, I'm not going to try to blow this out of the water by saying everybody's saying this, but like, if you're going to say you don't want Tortorella because he plays a defensive-minded, quote unquote boring game, but in the same breath, you're going to tell me you want Barry Trotz. Like, yes, I think Trotz is a higher caliber coach.
Right.
But you're putting your foot in your mouth here because it's a similar type style. It bores you to death. In order to do that, you need a very good defense.
Right.
So,
but, I think
we don't have that either.
Right. Yeah. But my one concern with Tortorella is I really don't want the attention on the coach. Like, I don't want what the coach says in the spotlight, and I don't think you can escape that with him.
Not in Philadelphia.
Definitely not.
I mean, he couldn't in Columbus, and I think 4 people live in Columbus.
Yeah,
it's like the Manitoba of the United States. Sorry,
the Manitoba of the United States.
Sorry to my Ohio listeners.
No, it just magnifies it when you're in a city, Philadelphia. They'll take everything you say, and it's going to be. I'll give it this. It will be a very entertaining press conference after some tough games. So
it's almost like he's almost the Philadelphia fan version in coach form. Like, he's just in your face, kind of a dick, and like maybe it would be good, but I can see it as 2 positive magnets. Like, if things do not go well, it's going to hit the fan.
Yeah,
we could use another one of those on our show if he's interested.
I'd be all right with it. I would love to talk to Tortorella sometime. I feel like that'd be a really fun conversation.
Slide in the DMs.
I'll have to check to see if he's got a Twitter.
All right.
A Twitter thing.
So, John Tortorella to me is like Barry Trotz light, right? Like, if you can't get Barry Trotz and you're looking to swing a home run, Tortorella's the next. Do we kind of agree with that?
With a bigger mouth.
Yeah.
With a much bigger mouth.
Wait, so isn't Sam Carchidi supposed to be retiring this year too?
No, he's with Philly hockey now.
Yeah.
I thought he was retired.
Yeah, he retired from the Inquirer.
For a second, I was wondering how this connected.
I would love Tortorella just to go off with Carchidi.
That's where
Sam Carchidi is strictly just covering Claude Giroux right now.
True. Yeah.
That's his beat.
Yeah.
No, so moving on to other names here that could pique some interest in a guy that I just sound like a dope, which could be the case. I wouldn't be completely upset if the Flyers decided to look at a guy like Peter DeBoer. A lot of pretty decent success that he had, everywhere he went. We're talking Eastern Conference Finals with New Jersey, Western Conference with San Jose. Again, with Vegas, he was pretty decent. But like you see, and we talked about, with Tortorella, you see that slow burn where he doesn't necessarily see a lot of success right off the bat. With DeBoer, it's the exact opposite. I don't want to call it a flash in the pan, but, for example, Jersey, his first season with them back in 2010, 2011, took him to the Eastern Conference Finals. Won the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry. They played LA in the finals there. San Jose, 2014, 2015, first season with them. 2015, 2016. Took him to the Stanley Cup Finals, won the Western Conference. So immediate success right off the bat, something Dave Scott and Chuck Fletcher are apparently preaching that they want. Upholding that success, at least when he was with San Jose and New Jersey, kind of fell off. But you do see his trajectory take dips after that, where he never necessarily gets back up to where he was that first year. So that scares me a little bit. What are your guys' thoughts on Peter DeBoer?
Well, aside from him being, a part of a mob movie.
Well, he's certainly a coach.
This is my boy, Philly the Fish, and his friend, Petey DeBoer. Get it? But anyway.
The dad jokes at the end. Come on.
Johnson.
To me, it's got
you can't have two of you.
It's got like Elaine Vigneault light vibes. Like,
what's with the light jokes?
No, I don't know, because it's the thing.
Trotz light. It's AV light.
He's gotten far enough, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just really not intrigued by this name.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, the numbers that you just spouted out, Derek, where the early success sort of shows that, okay, you might have a good system that fits a good group of players, but it shows that you're not necessarily developing players correctly if you're continuously going down. And maybe there's some other factors in there, but if you just read the numbers and put the, sort of narrative behind that, that's what that sounds like to me. He's, you can't deny the success that he's had. I wouldn't hate it, but at the same time, I would, even with all of Tortorella's personality baggage, I would take Tortorella in a heartbeat over DeBoer. And again, I go back to the rest factor. I just feel like he's just been through the grinder a little bit. And, you even look at him, you're like, oh man, did you just lose your dog in the pouring rain? Like, why do you look so sad? So I don't know, not a ton. I mean, because he's been in the Western Conference for long enough, I haven't really paid a ton of attention to the guy. So I don't know, personality wise or game fit wise, how he would be.
Sure. What are your thoughts, Ogie?
I'm not a fan of him. I
like his name.
DeBoer.
DeBoer. No, I'm just not a fan of him. I don't really like his coaching style. And like Casey said, his face, man, it's just you can pass it. No,
punch it.
Yeah, just punch it. No, I don't know. It's just not a name that like enthralls me. Like I feel like if we go with Peter DeBoer, it's just going to be like a let's see what happens.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't feel like it feels like a middle of the road hire to me.
Like
where I think we're all
a safe pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. I feel like it's like a status quo pick. It's like not like, okay, we're going full rebuild or we're going aggressive retool. This guy just feels like he's just kind of, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He doesn't have a wing or a flank on either side.
If we hired Peter DeBoer, what would immediately come to my mind was Tortorella said no, Trot said no. We couldn't go with like one of those rebuild kind of names, so we just went with the next familiar name.
Whatever was available.
Yeah.
Right.
We were third in line on Black Friday looking for a TV. I mean, Christ. You're like, oh man, we can get the 72-inch. Oh no, those are all out. Like, I'll take the 64, whatever.
You didn't really need to
72.
elaborate anymore, buddy. We got it.
I still need to get my words in. I'm making up for missing 2 weeks ago.
Like,
no,
I just one more quick thing.
Sure.
If you're in the DeBoer realm, like, I would rather you go for somebody with a little bit more intrigue and unknown and go for a Jim Montgomery.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Admittedly, I don't know a lot about Jim Montgomery.
Neither do I, and that's part of what intrigues me.
2-3 seasons, something like that with Dallas, and Dallas was a pretty decent team those 2-3 years.
Right. And you
Is
can
it
throw
really-
him back, apparently.
But my question is then, are you willing to take a chance on a coach like that? Like, is it worth taking a chance, I should say?
To me, and I said this on the
Good
last
chance
show.
on Dave Haxtell.
Right.
That was Ron Hextall. Like,
Right.
come on.
Doesn't matter.
The
we
guy's
still
going to let
did.
Malkin and Letang walk into free agency.
I said this on the last show, but to me, right, if you're gonna go the more like unproven route, you got a guy with somewhat of a track record, but this is his redemption tour.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that he has something to prove, and I think that that's valuable. Peter DeBoer, what does he have to prove right now?
Sure. He hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet.
Oh, and this is going to be the team to do it.
Could be. I don't know.
No, I like
Crazier
the Montgomery
things have
combination. I like the Montgomery combination because he has experience. He has had some success at a lower level. You can just kind of see it's like, okay, he's had to go back to square one and kind of get things going again because of substance issues. And if anybody's gonna like a recovery and a redemption tour, I think
Sure.
it's this kind of city that can embrace that.
Sure.
so.
Yeah, good story, but I want results. I don't need a story. I need a head coach that's going to lead this team higher and higher every year. No,
Sure,
knock
but we
on
thought
Montgomery.
AV was going to be that guy.
Where were we
like,
wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I just think if you miss on the two big names of Trotz and Tortorella, you might as well go for a guy like Jim Montgomery. I just don't think that the other names, and I know you'll go through a few more, I don't think that they have enough appeal for me personally
Sure.
to bring them over what could be with Montgomery.
Sure. Montgomery's got the potential. And the thing is, though, how often do we hear that as Flyers fans? He's got
Well,
potential.
sure.
The
Right.
Danik Martells, the Jason Atkisons, Christ. Jim brought it up in our group chat from Flyers High and Wide. Like, how many people were upset when Martell got claimed by Tampa? Like, I was one of those, but now I'm like, oh man, he's like, oh, he scored 4 goals for, what was it, Laval the other night? I'm like, oh, he could have done that for Lehigh Valley. Awesome.
Is
I don't
Tampa
care anymore.
winning?
Tampa?
Yes.
Tampa's up 1-0.
Are we rooting against Giroux at this point?
Uh-huh.
Dude, everybody on Twitter bickering back and forth about it has me resenting the man, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. I hate that.
Nope,
Absolutely
I want
hate
him to lose in 4.
I
Bye
can't wait
now.
to see where he goes next week, though, or next year. I cannot wait for that.
Where do you think he goes?
He's coming back. Running it back, baby.
You think he's going to wind up in Florida again? I think he's
No.
going to wind up in Ottawa.
I think he winds up somewhere in between. He's going to Carolina.
Is that really between Ottawa and Florida?
Between Philadelphia and Florida.
How can Carolina afford?
I don't know, and I don't care.
They've
I
got
just
young
somewhere
guys, don't they?
geographically in the middle.
Maybe he reunites with Jake in Columbus.
Oh, dear Lord.
Then they can maybe convince JVR in there.
I mean, if they can get JVR there, I'm all for it. Go for
Just
it.
we're bringing the band back together.
It's
We're
like getting
gonna pass it
Voltron together,
all
but like
day.
one leg is falling off.
Voltron forgot to charge his batteries.
Oh God, no.
Hey, Tampa's not winning. The goal was disallowed.
All right, that's
Who else we got?
Who else we got? So the last guy that I kind of focused on was Paul Maurice,
Nope.
Winnipeg coach. That's probably my least favorite option out of Trotz, Tortorella, DeBoer. He's got a ton of experience. Don't get me wrong, but we're looking at a guy. He's spent, half his season with Carolina. Used to be Hartford, and half of his career with Winnipeg. And Winnipeg's been a pretty solid team, but never seems to be able to get over that hump into Western Conference Final, Stanley Cup Final type of team. So maybe I'm, shooting for the stars here, but I don't know. It doesn't really appeal to me too much. You don't see a ton of success right off the bat, and the success that he does have, it's kind of just, great way to go. Competitive.
I would rather have Joel Quenneville. I would rather lobby for Joel Quenneville to come back.
Oh boy! Gosh!
Wow!
You heard it here first.
What did Paul Maurice ever do to you?
You go on a date with your wife before you got married or something? Like, not call her back? Holy shit!
Good Lord. I believe it or not, I don't know a ton about the Winnipeg Jets. But one thing I do know about Paul Maurice is that
Connor Hellebuyck guy.
But he runs a run and gun offense style game where it's like defense is not a thing. We do not
have the personnel for that.
Nope,
not at all.
Nope. I mean, the idea is that team might score 4 goals, but we're supposed to score 6. Like, we can't even score 6 in a week, let alone one game.
Just the thought of that has me losing my mind right now.
We're lucky if we hit double digits in a month.
Right. Oh, good God. Hoagie, do you have any thoughts?
I don't even know who the hell the guy is. I'll be honest.
There it is.
Sad, but that's no thanks.
Yeah. Matt Casey. Any other thoughts?
No, I have no interest. No, I have no interest in him. I would much rather go with a young, unproven guy who can help build this team versus the 5th runner up in the beauty pageant here.
All right, so then let's play the game. Let's play the game here. Let's shortlist it. Everybody give your short list. How many are people in a short list? 3, 4?
Yeah, didn't we just do that?
Yeah, that was the short list.
But I don't think necessarily. I mean, there's other people out. There's other candidates out there.
Are they going to stack up?
Who else potentially do you think is going to be out there?
Or are we talking guys that? Talk about guys that could be on the hot seat. I mentioned it to John the other night. Yeah. I think Sheldon Keefe could end up without a job here, at least for a short period of time. Someone will pick him up, and it could be the Flyers.
Well, it was the guy from Vancouver, Travis Green. We don't ever talk about Rick Tocchet anymore.
I was about to bring him up. He was the hot name, but I think if they were going to do that, they would have
done it. To stay broadcasting, from what I understand.
Cushy job. He's killing right now. He's not going to coaching.
He could certainly make more money coaching, but think about the schedule. Think about the family. I think it was him his kid just graduated college, from what I understand. And so he's probably going to want to be around for the family if need be. So he's got a cushy job, calling games in a studio during intermission. Personally, I'd rather do that. Yeah. Nods from everybody all around. Perfect. Yeah. So Rick Tocchet's off the list. Sheldon Keefe, cool. Who's against Sheldon Keefe?
I've got a list of at least 3 other guys I'd rather than Sheldon Keefe.
I got a list of 2, and it starts with Barry Trotz and ends with John Tortorella.
Again, I would take Jim Montgomery over.
You'd take Montgomery over him?
I've said this on the other show. To me, he's the guy you go after.
What other show?
You doubling last show.
You cheating on us?
The last show.
You weren't on.
The one you weren't on.
Yeah. The one that I was tending to my grandmother that was sick in the hospital. Yeah,
I wasn't giving you crap for not being on. Jeez.
It's all right. She made it out. We're good.
Who put bleach in your panties?
She doesn't listen to the show. I had a really bad day at work. I'm taking that on you poor bastards.
But I think a guy like Jim Montgomery makes the most sense. So, I don't know. Sheldon Keefe doesn't really do it for me at this point.
Here's my major takeaway from this.
Sheldon Keefe had freaking Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, William Nylander, and he couldn't get past the first round. No thanks. What's he going to do with?
They made history by losing.
What's he going to do with a broken back Sean Couturier and company?
Here's
Let me weld you back together.
here's my biggest takeaway from all this.
He's like Geppetto in there, fucking tinkering away on Couturier's back and Ellis's leg, the hip, or whatever the hell it is.
I'm a real boy. if you're gonna tout this
Taking
to
Travis
be
Konechny through
an
sensitivity
aggressive
training.
retool, then you're gonna want to go after the biggest name possible, and that's why A, it takes Maurice off the board for me. B, it takes a guy like honestly Montgomery off the board for me, because if you're gonna tout the word aggressive, show it.
Sure,
And
but
showing aggressiveness is going after and making sure you get two of the top fish, or one of the two top
okay,
fish.
but
and that's
Sheldon
Tortorella and
Keefe
Trotz.
doesn't fall into that category for you, right? Because I don't.
Not historically, because Tortorella and Trotz have much more experience. They're more seasoned, but it's a name
But what is it
And-
proven?
that he can make it to the playoffs
Good.
and lose in the first round.
Great. All right. You've
It's-
convinced me.
I would have to look more into it because, like you said with Winnipeg, believe it or not, I don't really follow Toronto. But
One of the
I don't
bigger
know.
market
I don't.
teams in the whole league, but
I don't think that Sheldon Keefe would be any type of answer for the Flyers. If he can't get it done in Toronto with the talent, there's no way in hell he does it in Philly.
right.
Yeah, I think I still think, and I'm telling you, I think he becomes available. I don't think it'd be wise for the Flyers to pursue him.
Who was the coach for the Rangers 2 years ago? Who got let go?
Dave
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Dave, I thought.
What are the
Dave?
what are
Dan?
the thoughts on him?
Man, he seems like a nice guy.
He's off coaching USA Hockey right now. I think he's doing all right for himself.
I love how Hoagie's talking like he just got off the phone with him. It's like, I picked up a burrito and now he's coaching USA Hockey. I heard him.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like other names that are out there that we may have forgotten. Like,
I'm not against it, but that's definitely not your first option.
Right.
Rebuild.
You strike out on Trotz, you strike out on Tortorella, you strike out on guys like DeBoer. It's a decent name to have because we see what New York's become. And Quinn had a part in that. Like, you can't deny that. So, not a terrible option. I'd put him above a guy like Keefe. I'd put him above a guy like Paul Maurice, obviously, but maybe not. I think him and Montgomery are like neck and neck for me personally.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if we,
sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say, if we like came out and said we were rebuilding, I'd be fine with
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
David Daniel Quinn.
Yeah, Trotz isn't coming here for a rebuild. Tortorella sure as hell isn't.
Yeah, but they don't.
Quinn would be the next one.
They don't rebuild. They just take trash and turn it into
Something.
a serviceable
Prettier
bicycle.
Yeah. I've got an interesting name here, pending what Florida does in the playoffs. Do you think Burnett is getting fired if they lose this round, or do you think they're bringing him out? Or
Guy just won the President's Trophy. There's no way.
Yeah, they're bringing him back.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think we have to keep in mind with both Toronto and with what Florida dealing with, like, they're dealing with a potential three-peat Stanley Cup, like, buzzsaw
Powerhouse.
that's gonna rival those early '80s Islanders teams. Like,
Glory days.
Yeah.
So, like, it's tough. Like, I understand people are pissed about that Toronto team, but like, I think they make
Who's
it
pissed
out.
about that? I love the fact that
Oh,
they
I think
lost
it's
in the
kind of
first
hilarious,
round.
but I'm saying that
I think
that
only Toronto fans are pissed off.
That series
Good.
could have gone either way too.
But it didn't.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it wasn't like how they lost to Montreal, last year.
Yeah. The other name,
the fact
out
that
there-
Montreal sucked this year makes it so much better that Toronto lost to them last year.
Casey, you've been trying to get a name out for the past like 15
I'm
minutes.
sorry, Casey.
Claude Julien, is he still a thing?
Dude, he's like 100.
Who's he with? He's coaching somewhere right now. I
Hockey
think.
Canada, I think.
But he's not coaching any NHL team.
No.
Oh, I thought he was.
No.
Could be an
I thought he was
interesting one. I agree. I think he's old as hell. Like, he's like the old man
Might as
yelling
well
at you.
call
"Run
up
too
Hitchcock.
Yeah, he predates the AV dinosaurs.
Yeah, I don't
Bring
know.
back the ghost of Fred Shiro.
I think that his time is coming past. Like, I don't think he has any sort of like accusations like Mike Babcock or Joel Quenneville, but I put him in the same category that I think like it's just we move on from those guys.
You bring up an interesting point. Mike Babcock, now the allegations aren't as serious as Joel Quenneville, but if Mike Babcock expressed any type of interest in coming to the Flyers,
Nope.
I want nothing to do with him.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
He's a miserable
Next name.
month.
All right,
I
then.
mean, like this team could not. This team, it seems to be at least, cannot like gel with a coach or seem to buy into what a coach is selling. They're gonna buy into what Mike Babcock does.
Herb Brooks couldn't turn this team around.
He's gonna be like, Bobby Brink, create a list of all of the veterans that you hate.
Like,
I mean, I think that's the appealing thing for any coach, quite frankly, is you're coming in and you just have a bunch of like, you have a ball of clay that you just want to mold here because there's nobody on this roster right now.
But this ball
that is going to
been
trump
sitting
you
on the counter for like a week and a half. Like you can't quite mold it. It's hard. There's an ant stuck in it. Like I don't know, peanut butter somehow found its way in there. You just
Someone's retainer stuck on the bottom of it. Like high school pottery class.
It's like, why does this clay smell like asparagus?
Oh God. Are there any other names even worth discussing? I brought it up earlier. First and foremost, do you think Washington holds on to Peter Laviolette?
I mean, there doesn't seem to be any like report that he's not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were still right in the hunt. Like, I just don't know how you get.
And they're a
get
team
rid
that's
of him,
supposedly been on the decline, like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
Right.
You still have Ovechkin scoring 30-plus goals a freaking season.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like, once Ovechkin finally hangs it up, which who knows when the hell that'll be, but like
another 20 years.
That'll be interesting.
At Russian blood, man. But let's, again, hypotheticals. Laviolette's let go. Is that a name that intrigues anybody?
No.
Now, been there, done that.
I just don't want a recycled job right now.
I'm done playing with you.
I'll go the other direction. I don't hate it. I think there's better options out there. But if we were like, hey, Laviolette wanted to come back to Philadelphia, I'd be like, okay, like let's see if we can recapture that magic, or at least familiar enough with the guy and know he's a pretty straight shooter. Likes to yell at the Pittsburgh bench and try to climb over the glass. That was the best moment I've ever seen.
I have an interesting idea. I mean, it's not really an idea. It's just like, so Montreal went and hired Martin St. Louis, right? Somebody with no coaching experience, but obviously somebody who knows the game really well, that players respect. Rick Tocchet aside, because it's like the easy answer, and I think he's somebody who has coaching experience. Can you think of a player that might fit that like Martin St. Louis category?
The only one I got, but he has coaching experience is Recchi.
Okay,
that's the only one I got. You fail in New Jersey. I don't know if we want you here, but
right.
I'd be intrigued by two names, and they're semi-recent. One has some experience when it comes to at least the office side of things. The other one doesn't, and I don't know how he'd pan out. But Timonen is one. I think his mind would be perfectly suited for, maybe first an assistant coach and then work his way up to a head coach. The other guy, and maybe this is unpopular, I don't know, I would love to see a team led by Chris Pronger.
I mean, I would be all for it. I don't know how successful it would be.
I don't know. Like that's I just don't know. But like,
just make him in charge of people and culture. Like that's his title.
After watching him chug a beer at the Blues game the other night, I'm sold. I want him.
Yeah.
Or
like the Chris Pronger cam. Like every time the camera gets to him in the stadium, he has to chug a beer, and he's sitting up there in the press box, like, "God damn it, guys! This is the 13th time tonight."
If we were gonna go like the more unconventional route, now this guy has coaching experience, but not in the NHL. Like a guy like Eric Wellwood.
Not yet.
I mean, unconventional, but like
it's an unconventional name, yeah.
But like, I don't know, that might intrigue me.
It's like calling me as a coach.
You want Hoagie to coach? Do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly you guys don't know anything about what he does at the other
Well, he's
level.
been coaching the Windsor Spitfires. I get
No, nice fucking try.
Oh,
that. Way to go.
The Flint Firebirds.
Right, not Windsor Spitfire. Yeah, whatever. He's one of those fire names. I don't know. Has to do with Flames.
Coaching Fire.
Yeah, coaching the Flames. Same thing as Calgary, I guess, at this point. But I don't know. I'd like to see a
would
bit more
Eric
elongated
Stahl
success.
like to get into coaching.
Eric Stahl?
No, they're still playing, aren't they?
yeah, he's
Are
still
we just
playing.
throwing shit at a wall? Like,
What about-
Yes.
that stuff?
Well, I was
Vinny
thinking about-
LeCavier. It'll be the rivalry
Oh,
with Saint Louis and
God.
LeCavier, two brothers in arms. Now are vicious rivals. When they play
What's
3
Nick
times a year.
Grossman doing these days?
But by the way, didn't we do this though? Isn't this the point of Danny Briere's job? Is we brought in like the young, fresh face? Like,
No,
Ian
sure,
LePerriere.
but
and
I'm
I'm
just
not bashing on that. I think that's good.
yeah, no,
Not
I'm just like
Perrier.
saying if this idea of like getting a top coach doesn't pan out, because I do think that there is a serious dip after Trotz or Tortorella, right? Like I don't know. I think that I would be okay with the idea of being creative instead of getting somebody that's going to just be similar to Alain Vigneault.
Right.
I just think overall what we learned from the Vigneault thing is that we need a player's coach. We don't need okay, you guys figure it out in the locker room. I'll be out
Right.
here. Which it sounds like that's what that was, and that's why they kept Yo, I guess through default. And every player has said good things about Yo. Everybody knows he's not the right guy for the job, and now he knows as well, which I don't think there was ever, delusions there. But I think like that's what this team needs is a guy who's there like in the trenches with them and knows that it's like gonna be a constant building versus okay, here's our game plan. See you guys out on the ice. Like it's gonna be a little bit of nurturing.
And I think that that's maybe the only reason why the idea of like a more recent player,
Yeah.
right, kind of intrigues me, because I do think that that's something they could bring to the table.
Right.
And I don't know how important the X's and O's are anymore.
I wish Mark Recchi was successful as an assistant coach somewhere, because nothing would please me more than having that bowling ball behind the bench. Like I love
Wasn't
the
he
way
on
he
the
played. What's
Penguins? Wasn't he on the Penguins coaching staff when they won the Cups?
up? Oh, was he?
I
think
believe
he
so.
I
was.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, bring him in.
Where is he
Bring him in.
now?
He was at Jersey, and then I think they just let him go.
I think he was in
Okay.
Jersey.
Free agent, baby. All
Yeah.
I
right.
can't believe the whole Lindy Rupp thing isn't working out.
Oh, darn.
Talk about
All
old
right, let's
school.
play this game. Who is the hire where you're just like, F this, I'm done with this team?
Ed
who's the
Hitchcock.
worst hire you could possibly think of?
In
John
hindsight,
Stevens.
Dave Hackstall.
Bogey, who you got?
I'm going with Dave Axtell.
No, I'll tell you. Ian LePerriere. If Ian LePerriere
Yes.
becomes the head coach of the Flyers, I'm becoming a Winnipeg Jet fan.
I will root for another team. This will now be the Pod Street Jets podcast.
I think mine honestly might be Lindy Ruff. I think that guy's a failure. Like he is
Yeah.
just a failure. I would be like,
Yeah, but
what are
you
we
can't take-
doing here?
You can't say like a Lindy Ruff type and then pick him.
We got the next best
That's a
thing.
great question.
Actual Lindy Ruff.
No, I didn't say a Lindy Ruff type. I said who is like the worst case scenario coach. I don't know. Maybe I said that.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, if Jersey fired him and then we hired him, like,
What's that say about us? Like that's more of an indictment on where we are. And
That's like
Jersey's
starting.
leapfrogged us.
That's starting over from scratch. That's not even a rebuild. That's just like a new franchise doing that. That's just terrible. Oh.
Yeah, I don't even want to entertain that.
all right, so should we get to the breaking news?
Let's get to the breaking news. The Flyers have signed 2 players, and it doesn't really matter. Nick Seeler, what is it, $775K, 1 year or 2 years?
It's a 2-year,
2 year.
one-way,
2 years.
One way, 2
2-year,
way.
one-way, two-way deal.
Oh, so both ways.
Sounds like something
Good for him.
Casey paid for when he went to Vegas.
Oh, Christ. I don't know the details of the Sandine deal, but
I was gonna say
Linus
Mrs.
Sandine
Casey.
signed, I'm assuming a minor league deal because let's be honest, he had 1 game with the Flyers and I mean, I'll start with you.
A rare
Hoagie.
loss. A rare loss for the Flyers.
Yeah, I'll start with Hoagie. Any impact? Like, what are your thoughts on these signings here?
Keep these guys right in the AHL. If Sealer's riding the press box, that's fine. But I don't want to see him on the ice. Not my defenseman. Sandin, I don't think you'll see much.
Not my
defenseman.
Freaking political campaign.
Exactly.
Like, all right, Brandon.
Yeah, it might be.
Matt Casey.
Not my defense.
Sandin, I'll worry about him if he ever makes the roster. With Sealer, look, if he is our number 7 or number 8, I'm fine with it. Yeah. I think, he's shown the willingness to drop the gloves. He's shown that he is a couple games serviceable, third pairing defenseman if needed. You just can't put him in a position to fail. And I think, hopefully they had that honest conversation with him about that. But I don't mind it. I mean, I think the guy has proved himself and he brings something to the roster, which is, I guess, physicality.
Sure.
So if it's a 7 or 8 defenseman, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. John Gove.
I mean, I'm in the same boat as Casey. And I feel like with it being a one-way, two-way, or whatever in the world it is, that's their plan for the first year, at least, for him to be a 7th defenseman.
What does that mean? What does one-way, two-way mean?
The first year, it's a one-way contract where it's if he gets sent down,
waivers.
He has to go through waivers. The next year.
Or no, it doesn't have to do with waivers. It's salary. He'll still make whatever that salary is if it's a one-way deal. If it's a two-way deal, you make your NHL salary. If you're in the NHL, you make your AHL salary.
But I think waivers also plays a part in the one. If it's a one-way contract, you need to go through waivers.
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure that I'm 115% right.
You could be. I just don't know.
Yeah, no,
I'm also not going to take your word as gospel.
Well,
here
you probably should.
You're John Gove.
Jeez.
The world would be a better place if people took my word as gospel. And that's the gospel truth.
I don't think so.
Hercules?
I'm okay with it. The Sandin, if they would have never signed Sandin, I wouldn't have batted an eye. I just didn't care. Sealer, cool. Again, 7th, 8th defenseman. I think it's good to have a guy like that you can sit in the press box as opposed to calling up Zamula, York, not having room for them on the roster, on the starting lineup. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I can deal with it. If he plugs in to play a couple games here and there, sweet. Great. Inject
it's a good emergency call up if you need it in the 20 minutes before game time. You know what you're getting out of the guy.
There you go. Hey, man, here's your jersey. Here's your skates, your pads. Get dressed. You're going to be playing tonight. Cool. Okay. Instead of rushing Cam York down from Lehigh Valley, hopefully it's not the case and he's actually in the lineup for the Flyers. But regardless,
York's in, maybe.
He better be, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, it is what it is. Great signings, cool, awesome, whatever.
It's starting to take shape, baby.
The plan's coming
Run
together.
it back.
Shut up. No.
Well, maybe now if they can package Sealer with James Van Riemsdyk, we'll get a team to bite.
Along with about 7 second-round picks.
For Draisaitl.
Okay. Anything else we want to add to the conversation? Coaches, Sealer, Sandin.
They better hire somebody soon because I don't know how we're going to have another show.
Yeah, we're drinking the sand here. This is tough.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a rough one, folks. It's going to get worse. It's going to get so much worse.
Okay, real quick, does Tampa Bay sweep Florida tonight?
Yes.
No.
And I'm not happy about it.
I think they do. I think Florida's a wounded fawn ready to be taken out.
I think Florida wins tonight.
Shut up, Hoagie. Nobody asked you.
Hoagie's going to be right. We're going to be like, damn it. All right, Hoagie, before we actually tell you to shut up, give us your dad joke of the week.
I was told to get a 6-pack of Sprite the other day. When I got home, I realized I picked 7-Up.
Boo. Boo.
Might be the first one that I'm kind of just like,
nope, that sucked.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
That was so
I feel like
bad.
7-Up's a decent substitute for Sprite. I don't know.
Derek, don't try to go into this with him.
Look, someone's got to stick up for Hoagie because you and Casey are a-holes.
I think I give Hoagie a fair shot.
You do. John, mainly it's John. John's the
It is
dick.
John.
I give Hoagie purpose on this show. If I didn't bash
John
Hoagie,
can't go to prom, so he's angry.
Oh,
do you
would
say
someone
about
not ask anyone to the prom?
so what did we say about the other
Prom
weeks?
for losers.
Yeah, you dork.
Sorry,
Your own wife didn't even invite you to prom.
Well, somebody had to watch the kids.
Don't you have in-laws for that? Like,
Nobody wants to go to prom on a Monday, man.
Except the high school kids that are getting trashed right now, heading to the local motel after.
Who's getting pregnant?
A couple of them, probably. Anyways, before we get in trouble, talking about minors at a prom.
I mean, some of them might be 18.
They're 18.
Right,
Some
the ones who
we'll
got
see.
pregnant. Anyway,
Anyways,
All
Hoagie,
right.
where can we find you on the Twitter thing?
Pod Street host, just don't leave it at that.
Good idea. Matt Casey.
Hey, Pod Street Casey. That's CASEY on your local and national Twitter following machines. Thank you.
you just tried to steal my thing.
Hey, this is John and speaker.
Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast, and
I think you forget who has the soothing voice on this show.
There's one member of the extended family who doesn't forget.
Can you play that John voice again for me?
just give us your goddamn spiel. Jeez.
We're really milking this the 1 hour mark, huh?
Yeah.
How much more do we have to go?
We got
All right,
3
anyway.
minutes and 15 seconds. Let's go.
All right, you can find this show on all your various podcast listening receptacles, including but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. I've fallen short. It's been 2 weeks.
That's what she
Pocket Casts,
Pocket Cast, good.
iHeartRadio.
Maybe just straight up Megaphone. We're not a Megaphone podcast. No,
What's Megaphone?
Megaphone.
dude? That's where it's at.
Oh, maybe you can find us on Megaphone. Let us know.
Can we wrap it up? I'm losing my buzz.
Does everything sound like we're talking through a megaphone? Yeah, you can Google us, please.
All right. That was wonderful. You can't find John on Twitter because he sucks. You can find me on Twitter, Pod Street Bob. You can find the Pod Street Bullies on Twitter at PodSDBullies. Check out our affiliates, Flyers High and Wide at FlyersHW, 5 Minute Major Pod at 5 Min Major Pod.
Bye now.
That's been it. No.
I just wanted to make sure I said it first.
You got it. Good job. It was premature, which part of the course with you, but regardless,
I got 2 kids.
Folks, have a wonderful week waiting for the Flyers to find a head coach.
Bye now.
But
Adios, amigos.